let's get into it. So we got some questions from the community.
Yes, we do.
You
Yes, we
good?
do. So let's go with our first one. Our first one's coming over from our buddy Mike the Beast Benson. He sent this message saying, with the reviews of Hellboy the Crooked Man not being so hot, pun intended, I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think it's been? So why has it been so hard for them to get a good Hellboy film since the two Del Toro films slash Perlman films? The last attempt with Hader didn't pan out as well. Mike Mignola was even a co-writer on the latest one.
Mhm.
Apparently the film is boring.
I don't know. I mean, like, you look back at the Hellboy, the original two, and I know people like, yeah, they were so awesome. But like, have you read much Hellboy?
No,
Okay, so I
very,
went
very
on,
little.
I went on a Hellboy tear for a little while where I read quite a bit, pretty deep into the lore for a while, even some of the like the BPRD stuff as well. And I mean, it has like elements of it, right? It's very like the original ones with Perlman definitely had a, and I'm by no means like a Hellboy aficionado, but it definitely had themes and it kind of nailed the character pretty well. But I wouldn't say it was like hard canon. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't say it was like super, super strong with like the story. Now I could be wrong because, like I said, I'm not like a Hellboy master. But now the second one or third one, I guess, with the dude from Stranger Things,
Stranger
right?
Things.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that was a little bit more. I felt like that was a little bit. That one and this Crooked Man felt like they were exact stories, if I remember correctly. And the thing is, I only saw that third one like once in the theaters. It
I
wasn't
never even
bad.
saw it. Well, because
No,
it had what's her name? Wes Anderson's wife from the Resident Evil series, right? Wasn't she? She was the villain.
bro, I don't even remember. I know it
Yeah, the
had the
chick who
werewolf.
played. Oh well, the chick who plays. Maybe she's in the beginning and the end. Oh God, I can't even think of her name. She was like she was in all the Resident Evil movies.
Oh,
Mm,
like, oh, are you talking about a chick from Third Element or Fifth Element?
yeah, her. What's her
Man, I don't even remember this movie. Oh, yeah, Mila Jovovich. Okay.
Yes, yeah, yeah. She was like a witch or something. And I barely saw that movie. I just had no. Not. I think it's.
Oh, yeah, she was Nimue. That's
Yeah.
right.
I don't think it's so much of a connection with people, right? Because any comic book movie can kind of create its own thing.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I just wasn't feeling that one. And I guess after, because the thing is, you kind of have a staple of what you want Hellboy to look like, right?
Yeah.
Looking at the Guillermo del Toro stuff, the first one just kind of came out of nowhere. It was really action packed. It was cool CGI or good effects, whatever you want to call it. And the villain is kind of old school, kind of like Captain America, right? Because it's kind of like a Third Reich type of thing. So
Yeah, it's very Nazi. There's a lot of the original lore is Nazi based.
yeah, and I feel like then you kind of went into Hellboy 2, and you're like, well, the first one was good. He's done Blade. He kind of already has a staple on what his directing style is. So he has those people that are kind of cult followers. I can't think. I think Pan's Labyrinth probably came out after. If I had to think
No,
about like what.
before.
Oh,
Way,
before.
yeah,
Oh,
way before.
okay. So yeah.
Yeah.
So then there's all these people that just want to see this director because that's kind of what happens in Hollywood for the most part. You always want to kind of follow a director on what he does. And I just feel like people just didn't have the thrill to even go and see, whether the reviews are good or bad, to be honest, for The Crooked Man. I had no intention of seeing it. Now we will talk
Yeah.
about another movie soon.
You
That
know, I'm reading like
was
I'm looking at it at Wikipedia because I only saw it once. Like I said, I barely remember it.
yeah.
And I'm now I kind of want to check it out again because there is it's a lot of like Arthurian legend here. I do remember liking some aspects of it. Like I said, Ben Damio, I call him a werewolf. He's a were-jaguar, but like Ben Damio was in it, who I really like that character in the books, as well as they do have like Lobster Johnson shows up, who is
Mhm.
like pretty big in some of the spin-off stuffs
Yep. Yep.
of the Hellboy universe. So and they had Baba Yaga. So there's all like very like this is very canon type stories for Hellboy. I don't know why people didn't like it that much. I mean, I don't remember liking it a lot, but like I said, I never was very invested in it. So
Yeah, I think that's kind of what it is. And it's indie, but I mean,
it's
indie
never
still
really
kind of
broke
can
out.
shine through.
Yeah,
Shines through.
it's never really broke out, I guess. I mean, it's probably
Yeah.
like it's obviously probably like the biggest dark horse, right? Like
Yeah.
fan
IP.
following. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say IP. Yeah, for sure.
But I would say it's still kind of on that cusp of like it hasn't really cracked into mainstream, even though it has had all these movies.
Yeah.
This did the movie even come out in theaters or did it was like straight to
Uh, Well, I think it's just getting bad reviews. It comes out.
Like, I thought maybe it was, like, getting, like, direct release.
It
Um,
just says UK was the 27th of last month, but it's began
so
filming.
direct to VOD in
Oh,
the
well, yeah,
UK.
yeah. So, all right.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
on
October
October
8th.
8th.
So it just came out like 2 days
Yeah.
ago on video on demand. So, yeah,
I
it's,
might check it out, man.
but that's again, maybe that's the problem too. Is it limited to theatrical releases in international markets beginning in Belgium in June, and then the UK was last literally like 2 weeks ago, and then it is released direct straight to video in the United States. So you know what? You never know because the reviews may be one thing, but there's always that cult following
Right.
that's gonna turn it around to be like, yeah, this is pretty badass, right? Because even like the Crow movies, the early Crow movies, the
Mhm.
reviews aren't great, but there's that
No.
cult following
Yeah.
that everybody loves it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a very it's very, like, specific to one story, and I'm looking at, like, the cast here. There's really no, like, supporting cast. Like, there's no Lobster Johnson or Ben Damio or, oh, man, what's the water dude's name? I can't
Oh,
remember. It's been so long since I've seen it, like, since I've really, like, followed anything Hellboy, but it really looks like just Hellboy as the, kinda really one of the only mainstream Hellboy characters. Might be, like, some minor ones, but
yeah. Well,
I mean,
this
the
is
budget was $20 million. It really they didn't really spend a lot on this.
well, it is also this is a direct like mini series for Hellboy. So it's
Yeah,
straight out of the Hellboy lore. You know, it's
right.
not like
Yeah, it's
Guillermo del Toro just kind of took pieces and
themes,
villains and
yeah.
stuff like that. And then obviously the second one exploring more of the elves and the underworld. That was
Mhm.
more, I would say, out there. But this one's straight out of like a 4-issue miniseries.
Yeah, which you would think maybe would be like fans would enjoy that because it's and that's kinda how Hellboy is. Like, it is almost as far as I know, like I said, don't crucify me, anyone out there. Like, I remember reading it, and it's not necessarily like, Batman canon where it's like this event happens and this event happens all chronologically. It's very much like you just read a new story. It was like a new adventure, self-contained of Hellboy in the universe, of course, but it wasn't like what happened previously in the Baba Yaga story affected the Crooked Man story necessarily. Like, I don't know, but oh, maybe I'll check it out once it gets a little cheaper. But I will
Yeah, I don't
probably
really even
I
think
gotta pay
like,
$20 for it if that's what it is.
yeah, like
But
the VPRD stuff, I always feel like is just straight up miniseries. Like, I don't think it's ever had like a long ongoing series.
I can't remember.
Um,
I mean, they had the collected editions. That's what I was reading them in, but
yeah,
I
like
don't know.
omnibuses and stuff, but it's still
Yeah,
gonna be just all the miniseries. He's never had like a Hellboy 1 through 50. I I'm
yeah,
and I'm just
yeah.
saying that, and I could be completely wrong, but, you know, as we're talking and I'm kinda checking CLZ, like, if I just typed in Hellboy, uh, they look like a ton of just
Yeah, it's
miniseries.
just stories. It's
Yeah.
basically like stories like Crooked Man or the Baba
Mhm.
Yaga or like, his origin story. It's just real, like, almost like novellas in a way, but in comic book format. So,
Yeah. I mean, like, the BPRD, there is one that was in 2003 that went from I don't know why it started. I guess so it started at issue 103. My guessing is they took all the minis and added them up, and
mhm,
it went from issue 103 to 147. So what's that, like 50? Yeah, it's like 50 issues right there.
yeah.
But that's gotta be, like, the longest running yeah, normally it's just shorter stories, like, limited series, miniseries, stuff like that, so
Abe Sapien, that's his name.
oh, that's what it was,
Yeah.
yes. Alright, well, good question, Mike, thanks, you know, we'll always
I know
check it
there's
out,
some
I think
diehard Hellboy fans out there, man.
yeah, definitely. It's some interesting
So,
things to find Hellboy fans, for sure. I've seen a lot of people dress up as Hellboy every year, and they've done the Hell Girl, like, people have done that too, it's pretty cool.
yeah.
So, and then one more community question real quick. We got Black Crown Comics, and I really enjoy this question because I have a pretty good follow up for this. Black Crown Comics asks if you could have one band record an intro song for your podcast, who would it be? I know who you're gonna pick.
Yeah, yeah,
I know
100%.
exactly who you're gonna pick.
It's a Coheed and Cambria.
Of
There's no
course it
doubt.
is.
No doubt.
Of course.
Yeah. Or
Um,
Tech Nine, or maybe Tech Nine.
really?
Dude, I love Tech Nine. He's a Kansas City guy. I can't.
All right. I would have figured you would went Nickelback after.
Oh, Nickelback or Creed. Yeah, I think Creed or Nickelback. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are close seconds. Those are close seconds, dude. What was it? I saw a funny meme. I'd seen it before like a million times, but it was like, "Don't come in the garage. I'm throwing wrenches and listen to Nickelback. I don't want you to get pregnant."
Oh
This
my
guy
god.
comes. That's like, oh, that's hard. So who
Jesus.
would your be?
I mean, my number one would be like Kill Switch Engage for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have to go with that. But and you know what's funny? Like I've actually been thinking about this even prior to this question is what are we going to do for season 5? Because if you know, we always change our intros for the seasons, and I'm actually considering just going on like some audio you uh what is it like a Chat GPT like AI thing to create our 5th season like song. To be
Let's
honest,
record. Let's record something.
it could be like a
Let's do
rap,
an let's do a rap. I don't know.
Comic Con podcast rap.
Just
Mm,
let's also start a band.
yeah, season 5 coming at ya.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know. We could do like a Limp Bizkit thing.
Oh God. Oh man. I mean, they're coming
Yes,
back.
please.
So
Uh, but just a real quick follow-up because I was having this conversation yesterday, and this is gonna be a throwback question from many, many months ago, is, you know, it's actually a really good movie soundtrack?
hmm.
The original Spider-Man soundtrack.
Yeah. Yeah. With Nickelback with Chad
Yeah,
Kroeger.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
dude.
And then, like,
That's a good
Corey
one.
Taylor's song is on there.
Yeah.
There's a Hive song that's on there as well. There's some
Dude.
good stuff I didn't realize.
The one thing that Sony did well in like the 90s comic book movies were soundtracks. Every one of those movies, as crappy as those movies were or weren't, had fire soundtracks, dude. I mean, it's stuff I still listen to. Like I always talk about the Punisher soundtrack, the Elektra soundtrack, Daredevil
Daredevil.
soundtrack is awesome. They're all so good. I mean, I don't think X-Men had one, or it's funny because none of these movies, like they had some of them had music in them, but like the X-Men never had songs playing.
Yeah.
I don't remember, I probably didn't listen to like the other Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3 soundtracks at all, but um, dude, greatest soundtrack, and I think I've said this before on the show, greatest soundtrack of all time, one of the shittiest movies of all time is Queen of the Damned. It's
Mm,
just like
yes.
an amazing soundtrack. Horrible
Yeah, yeah,
movie, horrendous movie.
yeah.
Such a great soundtrack.
Well,
Anyway,
thanks for the questions,
yeah,
guys.
thank
You
you.
know, you could always send it to us, Instagram, the Comic Con podcast at gmail.com or any of our Instagram socials. So
Yep.